And now, from Louisville, Kentucky, the horse capital of the world and sports junkies' finest, giving you wagering advice and sports analysis. It's On the Switch with your host, GenoG.
Welcome back, everybody, to On the Switch Show. I'm your host, as always, GenoG. Today, Travis, you're on the mic. What up, Trav? Since you all are listening to the podcast, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating. On top of that, go immediately to our Twitter, drop us a follow at On The Switch 1. After that, I want to make sure that you all go over to YouTube. We'll be starting live shows here. When, Trav?
About 3 weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. So in a couple weeks, live shows coming to you all on YouTube at On The Switch Show on YouTube. Follow us there, subscribe to us there. Then if perhaps you have iOS, Android, whatever it might be, we're on all major platforms when it comes to iOS and Android. So Stitcher, Google Play, which is now going to become like Google Podcasts, I believe. Subscribe to us. Leave us a comment, 5-star rating wherever. We would appreciate it. The first thing that we want to go over, I found this comical. Johnny Manziel, he gets traded over to Montreal, now plays for somebody that he played for at Texas A&M. I know. Last night, he goes 11 for 20 for 104 yards and 4 INTs. Travis, the question remains, is his career over?
It should be.
Not only should it be,
but
after that performance, just in the highlights, you got to be like, huh? Bro, I think you need to stay true to yourself and getting high, partying with sororities and fraternities. Go back to Texas A&M and just party it up with now your quote-unquote wife, you know? I mean, like, your playing days are gone. I mean, it's over. It's done for. I'm not kidding you when I say, if you watch some of the videos, the throws themselves are just, like, mind-boggling. You're just like, where is he throwing the ball? What are you doing? Of course, he made a few plays with his feet. You know, there was one interception that goes off he makes a wonderful play, literally spinning out of trouble, runs around, whatever, throws a pass, it just gets tipped off a guy's fingers, it gets intercepted. I mean, that one's unfortunate. The other three, horrible, absolutely atrocious. So I'm not going to go into anything deeper other than this, but Johnny Manziel, I know he only had 4 practices with Montreal because he got traded. I can't imagine him stepping on the field again the rest of the season. He played one half. Did I mention? He played one half. He had 4 INTs in one half.
So he's not the starter?
He was the starter. Now I think everybody around the CFL is like, yeah, this Johnny Manziel, Johnny football, like, Texas A&M guy that's just going to throw for 300 and run for 200. Yeah, that guy doesn't exist anymore. Okay, it's over. Johnny Manziel, congratulations, man. You're going to be set off in retirement. It's over. Next, how about this? The NBA, the WNBA, and MGM get together and they say, hey, let's come up with a contract. MGM wants the rights to use the NBA and WNBA's logos for like their boards, their sports boards, their odds boards. Now they can post NBA team logos, WNBA team logos. They can do commercials using the NBA logo. I think it's a big deal for MGM as far as from a gambler's perspective. If you walk into MGM, like in Vegas, you step into the sports book, you want to bet the NBA. You go sit down, now you see Cleveland Cavaliers or the LA Lakers, you know, their logos right there. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I think the fact that they can, have napkins with the NBA logo, I think it is a drawing point for a random person to walk in and see that. I don't know past that what the true benefit is. I don't know how more money is generated for MGM because now all of a sudden they can use NBA logo stuff. Now, I will say, and I thought about this a little bit earlier when I knew we were going to go over this topic. What if the NBA has apparel that has MGM's logo on it? Like, I wonder if they cross each other. I haven't done, quote unquote, all my research, when it comes to this. I don't know the intricate parts of it. I don't know if MGM is supposed to be on NBA stuff or just NBA stuff on MGM stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, again, it goes to the point of you go to MGM in Las Vegas. Can you go to the gift shop and buy an NBA MGM t-shirt? I mean, maybe sales-wise, it's a profitable thing, but $25 million a year, I don't know where they get that money back. NBA and WNBA, I know there's been a lot of talk as far as when they finally released the bear, that being gambling allowed in the United States. MGM is one of the biggest proprietors in getting gambling legalized across the United States. They're like one of the top tier companies. Right, yeah. They want to be ahead of the game. They want to sign NBA and MLB and the biggest thing for them, and I know it's something that I did read, they want to create a website in which you can bet. That
live during the game, at the game.
That is where I think
courtside, betting on next half.
Right. That's where I think perhaps
I'm down.
There could be future money because it's one of those things when something new comes out. When the first person comes out with, like Apple comes out with a whatever. Huge. Being the first person there, money.
Wow.
So we'll keep an eye on this. I don't know how I feel about a professional league being teamed up with a gambling company. There's just something odd to me about that. I'm not saying anything fudgy is going on during games, right? Because the NBA has to know how much money is on this game, and MGM knows how much money is on this game.
That implement some kind of fair betting?
I mean, I don't want to say that would never happen, but it's just odd to me. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's one thing for I don't know, Under Armour to be the logo of the NBA, and you're like, oh, okay, big deal. Who cares? But now NBA teams up with a gambling related. It's just something odd. Now, like I said, I don't typically bet the NBA. I know we talked about the NBA playoffs and that kind of stuff, and that's fun. And I think now with this, we can definitely keep more of an eye on the NBA and the WNBA because I think we didn't even touch on this. Some of this contract is going to go towards the WNBA, which they're hoping to raise the salaries to reach some of the European countries that are paying some of our top women basketball players. This is important for the WNBA and perhaps the growth of the WNBA, having more money bet on games, which now currently you can't even go to an offshore book and bet on the WNBA. Now you'll be able to bet on the WNBA regularly. They're hoping that perhaps they can raise the salaries of these ladies to keep this league going, because really, to be honest with you, it's what seems to be like a lost cause. It just doesn't seem to ever work. But perhaps maybe this team, MGM with the WNBA, perhaps maybe it takes another step forward. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that as well. So, Urban Meyer.
Oh gosh.
Just a couple of days ago, there's this news. Brett McMurphy comes out with this post on Twitter, basically saying, from what I have gathered, it looks like Urban Meyer knew that an assistant coach.
Is he a reporter for ESPN?
I think he does things for a bunch of different people, but ESPN is one, yes. Okay. I think he also reports for CBS as well. He says, from the information that he has gathered, it looks to be that Urban Meyer knew that an assistant coach abused, and not sexually abused, but physically abused to an extent.
Have you seen the pictures?
Unbelievable. I'm not kidding you when I say.
If you guys haven't seen the pictures,
look it up. Look it up. I mean, it almost gives you goosebumps in a way to the point of like you just get instantly pissed off. What?
Insane people.
Anyway. So supposedly Urban Meyer knows that this assistant coach physically abused his wife
since 2009.
Yes. So then Urban Meyer comes out and he says, listen, Urban Meyer says, you're a liar. Brett McMurphy, you are a liar. That's not true. And Brett McMurphy was like, okay, not true. I'll create another post on Twitter. I will literally give out all the information that I have, and I'll let everybody else choose who's a liar. So he releases all this information, which includes, you can go to Brett Brett McMurphy's Twitter. You can look him up. Very, very good and knowledgeable, accurate writer. You can't say that about a bunch of people, but Brett McMurphy is one of those guys. He posts on Facebook this long, long message that includes the pictures in which the reason why these pictures were released was this abuse went on in 2009, as you said. In 2015, there was almost like a group text between Urban Meyer's wife, okay, because she's a nurse at Ohio State. So the assistant coach's wife goes to her saying, hey, what should I do to like cover this up, or what should I do to protect myself, or what as far as like her injuries. So it was like a group test between some of the coaches' wives back and forth in 2015. And those are the texts that Brett McMurphy has. And he posts them. And he says, tell me how in the hell you can keep a coach on staff for a decade when you know for a fact, knowingly, no.
Under Chapter 9.
Right.
You have to report this.
100%. It's non-negotiable.
Meyer's wife's job is in question. His job is in question. And half the staff's job is in question.
Yeah, I mean, you start going through the line, you're like, everybody knows. And that's as the days progress on, more and more come out about this. And to be honest with you, I think literally the entire coaching staff.
Does Greg Schiano know about this? Is this scandal 2.0 for Greg Schiano?
I mean, anybody can speculate, but it's just crazy to me that Urban Meyer gets himself stuck in this situation by literally saying, you're a liar. Now Brett McMurphy's
Don't test me.
I mean, like, Brett McMurphy's sitting here with all the goods, right? I mean, he has a hand of poker. He's sitting with the royal flush, and he's like, you want to call me a liar? Are you kidding me? He's like, you know what? That's fine. Here. And he lays it on the table, shows him a royal flush. And now Urban Meyer, you got to think, Urban Meyer at home.
How does he get these texts?
Okay, so
this is the part that always mind boggles myself.
We can all speculate, right?
Right.
So I'll speculate.
I mean, that's basically all it is, right?
Pretty much.
I speculate probably on the same wavelength when it comes to speculation, but
so the assistant coach that abused his wife got fired a week ago from Ohio State.
Was it Zach Smith? Is that his name?
I'm not sure. It's
yeah, I can't believe this.
Me neither.
I swear it was Zach Smith.
Could be. So the reality is, and again, here's where the speculation comes in. You get fired from your job. How do you get money? The wife goes to Brett McMurphy or whomever, whatever newscast.
Wow.
And says, I have this stuff that probably needs to come out. We're okay now, supposedly. We're okay now, but this is kind of like what happened. How much can I get for my story?
There was another staffer that was involved with Meyer at Florida who said that he had essentially lack of control of his team there.
Okay, look, he coached Aaron Hernandez.
Right.
I mean, like, there was a post on Twitter like a long time ago about Urban Meyer. He went through, there were so many like different people, like Tim Tebow, right? Hasn't had sex with a person.
That's why he hung so proudly on the Tebow, was because it kind of
saved him.
Yes, from all of the behind the curtains.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the more that comes out now, and I just want to look at him and say, scumbag. Yeah. You are literally the epitome of a scumbag.
And then you try to use Tebow as a like come up.
And I'm not kidding you. And then have the audacity to go to a reporter and say, you're a liar. What? Check yourself. So
let's
I think
Tebow.
What'd you say?
We need to ask Tebow what he thinks about this. If you're out there, shout at us.
Yeah. Tim, come on. Let's have you on the switch. We'll fly you to Louisville. Just sit in on our show, and we can talk about Urban Meyer. It's funny you bring that up because there was another guy that went to Twitter. His name's Cardell Jones. Remember Cardell Jones?
Yeah.
Okay, National Championship. He goes on Twitter, right, and then immediately deletes, but he gets screenshot, obviously. He says, this situation, talking about Urban Meyer, and he says, this couldn't have happened to a better person, LOL. Now, if that doesn't tell you something. Now, I'm not saying Cardell Jones is a gift from God, okay? I'm not saying that
Which makes it even worse.
I'm not saying that he's a perfect person, but like, a guy like that who gave him every opportunity to be successful and whatnot, for him to literally go to Twitterverse, I mean, millions upon millions upon millions of people saw that tweet, 100%. And it's mind-boggling to me that he
Coming
would...
from him.
Right.
Oh, my
It's just
gosh.
like...
Really?
Comical.
Coming from him.
Yeah, and, this gets to my next point. Let's compare this to something that we know quite well, Rick Pitino. Let's say Rick Pitino is guilty on all fronts. He hired hookers to have sex with recruits. Bad. Really bad. Doesn't look good. Paid money for an athlete to come here. Doesn't look good. Not good. But I will be damned to think that either one of those situations are worse than this situation with Urban Meyer. You literally had a staffer that is a habitual, physically abusive husband on your staff for a decade.
And you're turning...
Like, just no big deal. Like, I talked to him. I talked to him.
Turn a blind eye to it.
I talked to him. Listen.
I mean, I get that a lot of it is about PR and image, but at the same time,
It's a great point that you brought up. Title IX, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Title IX says anything abusive, obviously there's a lot of things under this umbrella when it comes to Title IX. Literally, you can get fired under Title IX for almost anything. But something like this immediately has to be reported.
Right. Especially from a nurse.
It's unbelievable. I mean, like, you think about the entire thing. Urban Meyer, right? You think, this great guy and, on top of the world and football guru, whether it's Utah, Florida, Ohio State. I mean, championships everywhere. I mean, like, this great guy. Now, here comes this, and then now it's gone on for a decade. Bro, you're garbage. You are seriously garbage.
Yeah.
So, it's just...
I'm not a big, Meyer fan, but...
Well, okay, you want to talk about speculation? So he leaves Florida, right? Because he can't...
Which is fake.
Okay, he can't, quote unquote, handle the pressure.
Heart attack, heart problems.
Yeah, heart problems, mind problems, depressed, this and that, blah, 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 blah. I think he's an alcoholic.
Personal problems?
100%. I think I 100% believe that he has an alcoholism problem that never got brought out.
That's interesting.
Look at him.
I know. He does.
We're speculating, right? Here at On the Switch, we typically talk about sports wagering and wagering advice and something like this. But I'm so passionate because we got so screwed over when it came to Louisville.
Well, we can bring it full circle here. What are the odds that they win their conference this season?
0.
Exactly.
Just like Louisville. Think about it. Just like Louisville, when you still have the same players, right? But when you lose your leader, that's it, man. That's a wrap. It's over.
Speaking of new eras, what about Lamar Jackson? I know
Lamar
this is
Jackson.
divvying off topic, but
no,
it's worth mentioning.
Okay, so in the Hall of Fame game, the very first game when it comes to preseason for the NFL, right? The NFL season is now underway. The talk was Lamar Jackson. Everybody wanted to see him against NFL caliber players. Here's the issue that I have. He didn't play against NFL caliber players. The reason what I'm saying is he played with third, fourth stringers,
right.
Guys that aren't going to make the team, aren't going to make practice squad.
Gotcha.
They're going to get cut. At some point, it's like when you look at what he did, he threw for a touchdown, threw an interception. He ran successfully on a couple of occasions, juked one guy pretty silly.
Mad juke skills. Wow.
So I will give him a B-. What do you think?
Exactly the same.
Yeah, I think he did.
That's very fair.
I think he did fine. I don't think he did great. I don't think he did bad.
When he juked that linebacker,
this is what he does. I mean, obviously we lived it. We lived it for 2 years, 2 seasons, full seasons, I guess.
It's like it's coming, but when it does, you're still surprised because it's so unbelievable.
Quick. Like, don't blink an eye.
I've never seen somebody be able to stop on a dime and change directions like that. Nobody.
It was so insane when he came to Louisville and everybody was like, this is Lamar Jackson. I don't know what he can do.
Who's Lamar Jackson?
Right. I don't know what he can do as far as throwing the ball. We know he can run like crazy. But that one video of him in high school that they show over and over and over again, where he's literally running down the sideline or whatever, and it stops as the defender, and then he walks into the end zone, that's when you know, like, bro, you're just like on a different level. And then Lamar Jackson in his Heisman campaign 2 years ago, first couple of games, it was like, whatever. Didn't play anybody. It didn't really matter. But now you go Thursday, or could have been Friday night. I think it was Thursday night, though. Either Thursday or Friday night, you go to Syracuse, right? And you're like, okay, here's the test. What are you going to do? Let's just leap over people, score 6 touchdowns, and, go for 550 yards, 600 yards, whatever it was. And, the rest is history. He wins the Heisman, 2 years ago. He was a Heisman finalist last year. Now goes on to the NFL again.
Baltimore Ravens.
I think if perhaps he gets the opportunity to play with first stringers, second stringers, guys that are going to play on a week-to-week basis, that's the key for him. If you can put him around, especially line, that can block for him, that people can kind of grasp what he wants to do, I think Lamar Jackson can be way more than successful. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Baltimore is ready for that transition from Flacco to Lamar, but I think Lamar needs reps with guys that matter. You can't put him out there with third and fourth stringers. He's not going to show anything. He's not going to give you anything that's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's our guy. He's not going to get that opportunity. So I would look forward to not necessarily the next game, but the third and fourth game as far as preseason. You'll see Flacco perhaps in the very last game. I think the third game is going to be all him, where it's like, Lamar, take us to wherever Lamar, we always had that saying, Lamar doing Lamar. And I think Harbaugh is going to go to him and say, hey, do Lamar.
Listen, you can go back and listen to a Petrino interview just 2 days ago. And he said the key to coaching Lamar was let Lamar be Lamar and do not overcoach him.
So that was the biggest thing, and we talked about it all the time in Louisville. It's just like Lamar's being Lamar. I mean, whatever. It's just he will make plays. It's like that one play against North Carolina at North Carolina. He literally is getting ready to take a sack like 4 times, breaks it, and then throws a dime 65 yards right into the breadbasket for touchdown.
The flick of his wrist is insane.
Unreal. And that's why he always gets the Michael Vick comparison, because Mike Vick had a quick release, and, man, he could toss the ball 80 yards just on a flick. And Lamar's the exact same way. Fast on his feet, quick release, and, man, he throws a dart. And that's why I think he's so successful in the NFL.
Speaking of throws, domestic violence. Does Meyer keep his job?
No.
I don't think so either.
No. I don't. I think after Patino, I think that's now going to be the standard. Something like this happens. Meyer's gone, and I think the only reason why it hasn't already come out is I think Ohio State wants to ensure and wants to break down his contract and make sure they can get away without paying him a dime. I don't think they'll have an issue with that. Although he has a lot of guaranteed money in his contract.
There's got to be like a clause there.
I think they can pretty much pull whatever rabbit out of the hat that they want, and it's going to be valid. Again, when talking about everything as a whole that we've gone over, Johnny Manziel, see you later, man. Go off into the sunset, do your thing with your model, and drink beer and smoke weed. Whatever. Do your thing. Right. Lamar, I think Lamar's going to be fine. I think at the end of the day,
I was very impressed.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything above and beyond. I don't think he did anything bad. So Lamar is going to be better as time progresses on. As far as Urban Meyer, Ohio State,
that's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it really is. But not to backtrack, but WNBA, NBA, we'll stay tuned with that. I think it's important to stay in tune when it comes to that, especially when it comes to the WNBA. I'm interested into what MGM can bring to the WNBA. So we'll keep an eye on that. But again, back to Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, he's finished. I don't think he ever coaches again. I don't think he wants to. I believe after his quote saying, when something major happens and a sanction comes down onto a coach, that should be it for you. One strike, you're out. See you later. And I think this right here is a perfect example of saying, hey, Urban Meyer, your entire quote that you went on this huge rant about, guess what, bud? You gone. It's just, I mean, dumpster fire is a good way of putting it. I'm disappointed because I had a higher expectation for him, I guess. I don't know why. I guess maybe because he's a stable. It's like Nick Saban. Could you imagine if something like this came out from Nick Saban? People would lose it. They would lose it. I mean, it would be catastrophe to the college football. So as far as betting advice, wagering advice, I'm interested to see once Urban Meyer gets fired, because I don't think it's if, it's when. When is he going to get fired? He's not going to get a suspension. They're not going to find a way for him to stay. I think it would look 100 times worse on Ohio State if they kept him rather than waiting a week or 2 weeks or whatnot and then letting him go. They can't keep him. It's a bad look. Ask Louisville. I tell you what.
They win 5 games this year now.
Yeah, I mean, I will have to double check their schedule and look over everything, but I know they play at Penn State, I think, and they play at Michigan. They play Michigan State at home. I don't know if they win any of those 3 games.
Penn State's a force.
Yeah, I like Penn State a lot. Michigan, now with that new quarterback from Ole Miss, they got transferred in. They're going to be really good. The biggest thing, and I don't want to get into it, but when looking at the Big Ten, that's the biggest key or the biggest addition to the conference as a whole. Ole Miss's old quarterback gets transferred over to Michigan. Michigan's biggest problem last season, passing the football. 186.9 yards per game passing. They couldn't throw the ball if they wanted to. I don't care if it was Spate. I don't care who got in the game. No one was throwing the ball. Now you get this guy who used to chucking it 40 times with that run game, with that line, with that defense, those special teams. Look out. Michigan's going to be tough. Michigan State now, I think, has to go as a favorite now moving forward. This all being based on Urban Meyer getting fired.
Right.
Michigan State now has to be the favorite. They're top 10, top 8. They're going to be really tough. Then Michigan. Then Penn State. Then it kind of takes a significant drop off. And I think that's where Ohio State fits.
At the top of that?
Yes. I think them and Purdue, Northwestern, Iowa, Wisconsin. Wisconsin might even be better than Ohio State.
I would have to agree with that.
You still have the same players, and I get that. But
camaraderie and
yeah, you lose your leader. That's it. I mean, you lose Urban Meyer. Kids are going to be like, look, man, I'm out. Can I just go to the NFL now? Can I see if a team can just pick me up? Like, kids aren't going to be there. They want to be there.
I heard Jim Trussell's coming back.
Jim Trussell, please. Get out of here. Actually, what's interesting, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but let's say Urban Meyer gets fired. And they say, okay, or the question rises, who's next? The easiest answer would be like Greg Schiano. He's been there. He's done that at Rutgers, which we all know about the Rutgers-Louisville game. Louisville wants to go win a national championship. Brian Brown, whatnot. Ray Rice just Ray Riced us. But how about...
Did he Ray Riced his wife in the elevator?
Oh, my God. Speaking of abuse, it's really unbelievable. I'm just mind-boggled by the entire thing. But I'm interested in Herman at Texas. Here's the reason why. Herman, in my opinion, okay, it's just my opinion, I think Herman was the guy that won them the national championship. He was the offensive coordinator. He called the plays. He was the one that made the change to Cardale Jones. He was the one that made everything flow. He made everything fit. He was that guy. Then all of a sudden he leaves Ohio State, goes to Houston. Obviously successful there.
Very.
First season at Texas last season, extremely successful. Huge success story. Quentin Flowers, we can go on. But now I think you start connecting the dots. I wonder how much it would be to buy out Herman from Texas, and Ohio State now gets rid of Meyer. Now, not necessarily this year because it has to be next year. So they'll buy a year with whatever assistant coach they want to use to get through this season. But then buy out Herman at Texas, bring him back home. That's where I think if you want value right here at On The Switch, follow us at On The Switch 1 on Twitter. I think Ohio State now will fire, and now they're looking ahead. I think Herman has to be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Who else are you going to get?
Sure. I mean, I'd say he's number 1 for sure.
No question. No question. Who else?
Does he come back to Ohio State?
I don't know.
Is Ohio State a better job than Texas?
That also I don't know. I will say he has no ties to Texas whatsoever. Besides the fact that he coached at Houston. Coached at Houston, big deal. You spent 7 seasons at Ohio State.
He'd be worshipped there.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So that's my thoughts on everything. I know there wasn't any selections or breakdowns or anything like that. I want to touch on all this news because I think there is a lot of effect that can come when talking about further on odds, wagering, selections, Ohio State especially. I like the fact that we bring up Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. They're projected around 8.5 wins this season. And I think a lot of that will depend on whether or not they go Lamar's way or they stay with Flacco. With Flacco, I think you will get 8 or 9 wins. Lamar can take you to 10 or 11, or he can leave you at 5 or 6. So it'll be interesting to see the Ravens from that standpoint. If they maybe have success at the start of the season, they're definitely not going to put Lamar in. But if they struggle at the start, Lamar could come in, win a few games, he could lose a few games. But that's just the learning curve that he'll have to go. As far as the MGM and NBA, WNBA, we'll watch out for that, see how maybe things can be affected when it comes to that.
I'm excited.
I am excited. I think it's exciting news. I think, yeah, especially the mobile betting, it's gonna be insane. It's going to be insane. So I think then when it comes to Johnny Manziel, no sports wagering or any advice when it comes to this, just besides the fact that just go ahead and retire. Just go ahead and retire. I mean, it's it. You played 1 half. I know you only had 4 practices. You can blame it on whatever you want. You looked like shit. Wrap it up. Get on with it. Go make babies with your model wife. I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I lastly want to encourage all of you all listening. I want you to dictate what we cover next here at On the Switch. Do you want me to cover the Big 10 or the Big 12? We've done breakdowns of the SEC, the ACC, and the Pac-12. Next is the Big 10 and the Big 12. We want you all to know that we are interested in what you have to say. So let us know. Drop us a comment. Get at us on Twitter at OnTheSwitch1. Let us know what you want us to cover next. Big 10 or Big 12. We'll do that for you all. And as always, from Travis and I, we love you all more than anything. And stay tuned with us.
On the Switch.